Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our Friday night Smackdown review. I gotta say, this Smackdown really was the Bloodline show, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It continues to be a very compelling story. I'm just gonna say straight away that we know next week the Usos are gonna be facing the Mysterios for the Smackdown tag team titles. And, the mid-card continues to bear on. It seems like Apollo Cruz is not done with, or Kevin Owens, I should say, is not done with Apollo Cruz, the other way around. Boogs and Nakamura continue to be amazing. But I do have some complaints about this show, some more fiery than others. I'm curious to how you felt about SmackDown tonight before we get to our first segment.
You know, I felt more good than bad about SmackDown. I think I'm at like a 3-to-1 ratio. For every 3 good things that happened, there was 1 bad thing that I was annoyed by. So I would say it was definitely a pretty solid show. And literally going by the 3-to-1 ratio, I'd say I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10.
I think I'm there with you, maybe a bit lower than you, maybe more like a 7. It's funny because I feel like the way we are with SmackDown is the way, like, it's kind of inverted from preview predictions. Because I'm always more hyped for pay-per-views, it seems, than you are. And I think you've been enjoying SmackDown just a bit more than I have lately. Nothing wrong with that, though. Nothing wrong with that. As we get to our first segment, Heat of the Night. Okay, so I'm just going to rapid-fire give mine, okay? And then I'm going to give you the floor completely. Because 2 of them
I have 2.
are...
So if you cover both of mine, I won't worry about talking too much on my end.
Obviously, the first one, just the booking of Liv and Ruby, but we've talked about that to death on this channel. So I'm gonna pass. However, I did tell you before we went live that they did one of those exclusive things. It was like 48 seconds. I don't know if they're gonna be a heel team now, which I personally would hate that because I feel like Liv is a mega babyface, and Ruby could be too if they just embraced her aesthetic. Like, I feel like she's
the only real positive of them being a heel team is that the current champions are faces.
Yeah, because I mean, and the only reason I say that, bro, just to give context, they just seemed like really, like Ruby even said, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep coming within fingertips of those women tag team titles for years now. So I like that they are self-aware that we've all been waiting for this for a long time, and they've obviously been waiting the longest. But hate their booking. We've talked about it to death on many. I mean, literally, guys. In the case of the Riot Squad and TWitWoW, pick one, because we talk about them like a lot. Second one. Here's my second heat of the night, and it's a very peculiar one because I don't really care about who this happened to. I care more from a meta standpoint about how we tell pro wrestling stories. The fuck are they doing just burying the dirty dogs?
Oh, right? Like, that's the other one. That's the other one that I had. Literally, they lost a 2-on-1 handicap match.
Yeah. Like, first they lost it to Ray, and then they're like, oh, I know, George. Let's run it back. Except this time we'll face the youngin' in, like, the handicap match, which I guess in a way makes sense, but here's the thing, and this is what I mean when I say I don't give a crap about dirty dogs. Right. The umbrage I take is how we tell pro wrestling stories. Like, dude, I think in WWE's mind, and I'm not trying to defend them, I'm just trying to get in their mind space, right? They're probably thinking for the younger demographic, we'll make Dominic look like a hero just like his dad, like a superhero and his apprentice, or like his lineage and his son. We'll tell that kind of story. But here's the thing, it's crap. Like, if you really wanted me to think that Dominic couldn't handle the 2-on-1 handicap match, you know what you do? You have him lose the singles matches against the tag team champions. He's beaten them. He beat Dolph, which made Dolph apoplectic. And then the Friday after WrestleMania Backlash, he beat fucking Rude. Even if Rude would have beat Dominic, I could have seen maybe Rude and Ziggler exchanging glances with each other like, oh, see, we've got him now. See, like, we know if we just do the Dominic in the 2-on-1, I'll have you, Robert, you have me, we can win the titles. He's won at every turn. What made you think this is going to be good?
Honestly, this might be the most thorough burial we have seen of any main roster champion.
Yeah. Like, dude, it is unbelievable to me how far they've gone out of their way to just put these two guys down. And again, because it's them, I'm like, but it's more the meta context of, how is this even a good story? How am I even for a moment supposed to believe that Dominic's going to lose here when he's beating you in separate one-on-one matches? Didn't he get the winning pin at WrestleMania Backlash, I thought, on Rude as well? So he's beaten Rude twice in 2 different contexts. He's beaten Ziggler. And, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I feel like they were going to lose the rematch regardless. But it would have been nice if they had maybe a different plan. Maybe they would have tried and wrestled the standard tag match, or maybe they would have cheated midway through and just done it, more or less as a traditional matchup. I don't know. But, like, you already took the suspense out that we'd get a title change, which is why I hate rematches, and why, honestly, when they were like, oh, no more rematch clauses or whatever, I was honestly pretty excited. Because I'm like, well, title changes don't really happen with rematches often anyway. Yeah. So, like, yeah, have them earn their way back. This way it's like, oh, well, they're stronger this time because they've had to climb back up the mountain. You build resilience that way and a strong constitution. Maybe they will get the titles back. But here it's like everybody knows that's not going to happen. I'm sorry, I'm just so fired up about this. I'm getting tongue-tied. But then, on top of the fact, with this particular story, Dominic's been the most dominant person in this story. The fuck are you doing? Which, I mean, of course, that has its own host of issues, which, again, we've talked about Dominic individually on many recordings, so I'm not going to tread that water. But this story, dude, has been god-awful. And I'll be honest, like, being fair, because I feel like we would be this fair if it was any other champion, it's cool to see champions main eventing television product. Apollo got to do it, last week, I feel like it was. And now tag champions get to do it this week. That's cool. That's cool, especially when you're undercard. You absolutely should have the right to main event TV shows, especially because you're world champion. If he's not defending titles, I don't know if they should always main event TV shows. And it's perfect for the Roman Reigns era because he's like an improved Brock Lesnar, right? Like, he shows up more often for sure, but he wrestles about the same amount. And even then, I'd say he actually wrestles more because I'm still expecting him to wrestle at Hell in a Cell. But you get my point. Yeah,
because if it's like Brock wrestles like 4 or 5 times a year when he's around, Roman wrestles at every pay-per-view.
Exactly. So, but you know what, though? I'd almost like that for every champion. Like, why have them wrestle on TV? Just keep it to the pay-per-views and then it's exciting. Just have them talk on TV or whatever. That should be the privilege of being world champion.
For world champions, I agree.
Yeah, but anyway, I don't want to get into those side conversations, even though they're far more interesting than this shit. I just wanted to make the point that just from a storytelling perspective, this is bad. This has to be talked about because there was no drama, no tension, no anything, which you could say with a lot of stories, but especially here. And then my final heat of the night, because I did say I was going to rapid fire and then give it to you, and I've already covered your 2. Now, you're going to have to cover me on this, because I did leave the room a few times, so maybe this is on me. Did Aleister Black even talk tonight?
Nope.
Where the fuck was Aleister Black? Oh, my God. I saw an article. I'm going to admit to not reading it because I know in this, misinformation age, like I know a lot of people like glean articles or whatever. I only saw the headline. I could kind of piece together what it was going to talk about. They talked about how WWE was brilliantly handling Aleister's character because he has the one like Kane-looking eye. I guess from when Seth took it out, or Murphy took it out. Excuse me, it was Murphy that took out Aleister's eye, and like that attention to detail. And yeah, I agree. Nice touch, but like. None of that's going to fucking matter if I don't start seeing him on a weekly basis, especially now that he's gotten physical with the talent. Big E, I could understand not seeing tonight, right? You could really sell the Black Mass. I actually like that. But the idea that Aleister didn't even have a promo for why he did it, even if he was speaking like in Bray Wyatt tongues, is inexcusable to me. Where the fuck was Aleister? He closed the show last week with a Black Mass and all this stuff. Foster thinks that Aleister was the one to attack Ray. Honestly, Foster, only given that we know for a fact that Dirty Dogs attacked Dominic at WrestleMania Backlash, I just assumed it was them again. Maybe you're right, but I really wouldn't put a lot of stock into that, all due respect to your beautiful face. But did they even allude to it? Did they even mention it on SmackDown tonight, like recapping?
No,
I don't even think
they did nothing. They didn't touch it. They basically didn't even acknowledge Aleister's existence.
Dude, what the fuck? I can't be the only one that thinks that's fucked, right? I mean... Like, not even a video package, like, progressive match flow or whatever the fuck they do on SmackDown. The idea that it didn't even get one of those. Again, I said, like, what the fuck? Like, this dude, I really hope he's getting out of his contract soon. And I know everybody's always like, oh, go to AEW. That shouldn't be the only option, for fuck's sake. But, like, Jesus Christ. He comes in, Black Mass is Big E, which was already problematic given the preceding promo. But it's like, okay, we're in it now. Commit. Right? Because he's a great enough talent. Commit. I'm sure I'll enjoy parts of it because, again, he's an extraordinary fucking talent. Nothing. Nothing. Like, I'm sorry, SmackDown, you're definitely the better show of WWE's crop, because fuck Raw. NXT, I don't know where the fuck NXT's been, but if it finds itself, please call me. NXT's definitely, or excuse me, SmackDown's definitely the best of the bunch, but even this is not without its problems. To me, this is inexcusable after the impact that Alistair had last week, that you don't even mention it the next week. So yeah, that's my full roster. 2 nitpicks, and then Alistair was really the big heat of the night for me. The big one, because I'm like, how do you not mention this dude?
Dude, I honestly don't have a problem with Black not showing up tonight because Big E wasn't on, and I think that they're just straight up in a program together now. And I don't mind not seeing every storyline every week.
Yeah, I get that, and we've talked about a roster rotation, but like I feel like that's not necessarily the rule for WWE because we see so many people every week as it is. So I don't even know if it's them doing a roster rotation. I don't know. And to me, again, you could have done all of that. None of that precludes you from at least airing a video package or at least talking about it in a side segment between like bumpers for your program, whether it's like NASCAR or whatever. It's like, oh hey guys, let's check in on
just as a way to like remind that. I will agree with you on. There's no reason that they could just they couldn't literally just remind people of how, because they really did act like they actively, like, maybe that's not even fair, but it felt like they were intentionally avoiding even mentioning him. Like they touched everything except for him, you know?
Yeah, like, I think that's a good compromise for us. I can concede with you, and I think Foster may have had some more sentiments that, like, yeah, we don't need to necessarily see him. We don't need to do, like, all the storylines every week. Excuse me, I just got done eating a little bit ago. But, like, to not even do a video package, I'm sorry, I've got to stand firm. That is inexcusable to me. Because he main evented last week, and there was a big hubbub about it, and, like, then nothing this week. So it's like, But, yeah, I'm guessing since I already covered your
We didn't see any Sami Zayn this week either, though.
That surprised me, and that I also kind of had a problem with, because I thought Sami, when Kevin was in the trainer's room with Pierce, I thought we'd see Sami coming in and maybe kind of, like, laughing at Kevin Owens or something. Or, so, like, yeah, Sami's absence. I don't know, dude. Maybe something bigger is at play here, whether it's COVID or, like, they're doing other things or whatever. But,
yeah, we didn't get Cesaro tonight either.
Cesaro at least was explainable to because he got the shit beat out of him last week. I was cool with that.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say that it's like an inexcusable thing by any means. I'm just like pointing out the list of people that are normally on SmackDown that weren't tonight.
Yeah, and man, like, especially Alistair's, again, given the context, his was the most prominent. Sami, I also took notice of. Yeah, like,
I think one positive on that list is that Nia and Shayna weren't on tonight, which tells me WWE might actually be interested in maintaining the integrity of the brand split, which I love.
Right, because remember the rule that they made for themselves. They're only going to do a wild card thing once every quarter. So now that they did that, I think it was last week. Like, yeah, that's
dude,
their
absolutely.
use.
And you even mentioned that last week, but the only reason that I'm even bringing it up is because WWE doesn't give a fuck about the rules that they tell us are in place.
That is objectively true. That is objectively true. I will give you that one. So, yeah, and Javaris also, assuming that Alistair jumped right. It's going to be very interesting, guys, if that was the case. You know, we'll see, I guess. I don't know. I just assumed, again, it was Dirty Dogs given the context of the whole story. But regardless, Ashton, given that I already kind of vocalized the two that you had in your chamber, is there anything you want to add to those two? Ray Dominic and Dirty Dogs and or
No. It was literally, I just had those two big ones, or the treatment of Liv and Ruby consistently. And, like, that's one of those ones that I don't think I would have even really gotten into because it's so repetitive and we bring it up every time. But, and then, yeah, like, dude, Dirty Dogs versus the Mysterios is the worst feud on WWE TV right now. And, like, the fact that I'm saying that when Alexa Bliss exists is pretty telling, I think. And if you want proof, look no further than the fact that we literally didn't even watch it on WrestleMania Backlash. We played Brawlhalla instead.
Yeah, facts, homie. Facts.
And now they're trying to play it back, and it's just like, okay, we didn't like this 2 times ago when you did the same match. Why the fuck would we start liking it now?
Exactly. I really hope that this... Yeah.
And now it's even worse, because now they're out here telling us that these two guys, who were literally just tag team champions, are so incompetent that they can't beat either one of the current champions in a 2-on-1 handicap match.
Yeah, again, I don't like throwing this word around a lot because I know it does get abused and it should have some integrity in some spaces, but this really was a burial, straight up. They got buried to me. God damn, that was rough. So yeah, with that said, let us get into...
We know what we can skip now. Let's get into the show.
Yeah, Friday night Smackdown review. And we open up, assumingly in Roman Reigns' locker room or whatever. Jimmy and Jay talking excitedly, especially Jimmy. Jay's kind of seems like something's weighing heavy on him. And Jimmy's all excited. It's been over a year. You and me, Oos, we're going to go out. We're going to do the damn thing against Street Profits. He's fired up. And then Roman comes in. And something clicked for me tonight? I love Roman's promo style, man. I'm sure we've said it before, but I really just wanted to reiterate here.
You know who he reminds me of with his promo style now?
He reminded me of somebody. Who did he remind you of?
Roberts.
I was going to say fucking Roberts too, dude. Oh, full cap. I was thinking he's fucking Jake Roberts. Dude, our mind link is so strong. What the fuck? Because he's speaking so softly, right? And that's probably where you got it, too. Because I'm thinking, Roberts used to say.
Yeah, it's that so very softly. Deliberate, quiet, intense style. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and then when Roman gets yelly, which is very, very rare, he had that blow up at Jimmy a few weeks ago. It's meaningful, though, when he does it, because a nerve has been struck. Oh my God, yeah. But you know what, though, dude? I feel like the quiet moments of Reigns talking, which again is pretty much the whole promo more often than not.
The one promo he cut tonight cut so fucking deep. I died. Holy shit.
Dude, I was so uncomfortable in my chair. I wanted to recede into myself. I'm like, oh my God.
For me, it was the one that he cut later on in the night, just alone with Jay. That was oh my God, he's inside his... I forget who it even was. I think it was Montez in his first segment that said that Roman was living in Jay's head rent-free. That is... True words have never been spoken.
Dude, if I talk about it too much, I'm gonna crack because I'm me. But that later backstage segment he had with Jay, the gaslighting is just perfect.
Oh my God, we need to talk so that we can get to it eventually. We need to talk about what's going on.
I know. Just again, no wonder the show really revolved around this because it just continues to be such great stuff.
Yeah.
So Jimmy, again, is really fired up. Then Roman comes into the frame. Oh dear God! Because what I was getting ready to say before I got sidetracked by
Paul Heyman's face when he sees
I am proud to be the vocal representation of that man's facial whatever the fuck.
Yeah, you being oh my God, that's exactly the face that Paul Heyman wears every time Roman speaks.
Folks, when this man was speaking so quietly you could hear a pin drop, I was unnerved because he's looking at Jimmy and he's like, so you're really excited to do this? What's your plan? You're going to go out there, you're going to do your thing. It's been over a year. But what's the plan? The plan was just to win. And Roman, Roman's doing the mental calculus oh yeah, this has got to be fixed now.
Dude, how fucking unhinged would Roman become if the Usos win the tag titles next week and then cost him the Universal title, whatever his next defense is?
Oh, bro, asses are getting beat. I'm so happy it's not me.
But then they would be the new breadwinners, though, because they'd be the champions in the exact hypothetical that Jimmy brought up 2 weeks ago or whatever it was.
This whole dynamic is such a fascinating dynamic or fascinating study of toxic masculinity. I swear. Because Roman's just sizing Jimmy up and Jimmy's all happy. Yeah. And dude, I don't know if you've seen it because wrestling fans are the worst part of wrestling pretty consistently, especially in the social media sphere.
Especially console war fans.
Oh, God, dude, I know. I'm so tired. I feel so old every time I'm in that space because it's just let me die. This discourse is awful. But no, I only bring that up because fascinatingly, a lot of people are against Jimmy as well because they both feel like they're using Jay as a prop. And Jay's not really having his humanity respected or his agency. Because, Jimmy, as people have rightfully brought up, and I do think these are actually rare, salient points by the, pro wrestling community on social media, the IWC, right? That, Jimmy calling Jay Roman's bitch. How is that being supportive or having his back when you use derogatory language like that. Only thinking about the tag team, like, oh, let's go over the tag team titles, and not really acknowledging how Jay has grown and changed beyond Jimmy in his absence. And, you know, stuff like that. And, you know, I think there are some worthwhile points there. Like, I've been saying on here that I feel like Jimmy is Jey Uso's conscience, like, kind of bringing, like, you know, assert yourself, be your own person. That may not necessarily be true. Jimmy might just be another Roman Reigns, but in a very different flavor, because he's boxing Jay in.
I think Jimmy represents what Jey Uso wants, and Roman is basically Jey Uso's fear. Like, it's Jimmy, like, if Roman wasn't in the picture, Jimmy would have come back and Jay would have immediately hopped back into the tag team. They would have been doing exactly what they're doing right now. This is what Jay wants. This is what Jay enjoys. But Roman's around, and Roman's fucking it all up. So Jay feels torn between these two directions. And basically what's going on is, when Jimmy says we're going to do this, and Roman's not around, Jay lets his true self come out. And he's just like, all right, man, fine, we're going to do it. And he, like, tries to act like, oh, I shouldn't, but I really want to, so let's do it anyway. Like, they're like little kids again, almost. Roman's around, Jay's all, like, stoic, and, oh, I don't like this, actually. I'm secretly not a fan of my own twin.
The way you said that. What, is Jay gonna quietly say, I wish you would have died in the womb, Moose? And just kind of leave it along the room, like, what the
Oh my god.
I'm sorry, dude. Your face has been on point in some pretty weird areas lately. Not a fan of his own twin. But no, I think what gives, if I could compose myself, I think what gives credence to your view is when Jimmy initially returned, Jay was ecstatic.
Yeah.
Like, the hugs were passionate and this and that. However, it is an interesting characterization of Jimmy that I've seen from other fans, and I did want to bring that up, because I always do want to be open to other interpretations, like, obviously yours, since we kind of, you know, always talk about this stuff, and stuff like that. Because, yeah.
And I can see that perspective, too, because, like, when we'll talk about later tonight, maybe Jay doesn't want to be a tag team only guy anymore. Maybe he got used to being main event Jey Uso, and he wants to try and succeed that way. But again, Roman is standing in his way.
Yeah. Oh man, it's rough for Jey Uso, and
I think,
yeah,
I don't know. I think there's a lot to kind of mine from this, from an emotional health standpoint, because there's almost a part of this that feels like someone. Yeah, it's hard to explain without being hyperbolic at all. But basically, the idea that someone that goes from one toxic relationship to another, they're not necessarily toxic in the same way. One of them is like a woman that's like dating a slacker guy that like doesn't have a job and relies on her to pay for everything and is basically treating her like a sugar mama. And then she dumps him and ends up with a guy who abuses her. It's like, you're not really better off going back with the last guy, but you don't want to be with this guy either, but he's providing you with stability and getting you closer to what you really want, which is maybe like graduating from college or something, because even though he's abusive, he also makes a lot of money and he helps pay for the bills and he's helping to put you through college and stuff like that. And like, obviously, if you're in that situation, you can't see things quite as clearly as you can from the outside looking in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like, I don't think that Jimmy is, like, the sleazy scumbag holding Jay back by any means, which is why I'm saying it's hard to describe without going into hyperbolic territory. But I think that if you're Jey Uso, you might think that way. You might think, if you're Jey Uso, I'm a main eventer now. My brother is kind of lagging behind. He still wants to be a tag team. I should be in the main event. And meanwhile, Roman is just like, yeah, you want to be in the main event? Give me a try. I dare you. Try me.
Yeah. So Jimmy's really fired up. Roman, again, just very quiet, very unnerving. And then when he leaves, Roman's just like, oh, you know, aren't you going to follow your brother? You got to get ready for your match. And Jay's just like, listen, Oos, I've always got you. No matter what, I'm with you. I'm with you. And Roman just looks at him and he's like, again, like, it's eerie to me how good Roman is at being like this level of scumbag. Because that's the thing, guys. When we say good heel, there are so many different flavors of heel. But Roman's really got one that I think is so resonant in this day and age. You know, and like all adds it up because he's like, well, why don't you tell him that? He really is like, listen, it can't be him or me. Like, you got to make a choice because everybody's got to follow me. He can't share. Like, that's putting it in the simplest terms possible, is that he can't share. But, man, it's really amazing to watch, dude. Like, Roman's character right now, no other way to say it, but just superb television all the way through.
From Roman's perspective, it's not me versus Jimmy. It's me versus anything.
Exactly.
He doesn't consider Jimmy. He doesn't consider in his mind the fact that Jimmy and Jay are twins and that they are much closer to each other than either one of them is to him. He doesn't give a fuck about that. All he cares about is loyalty. That is his number one thing. What are you doing for me? And if the answer is anything other than enough, you're fucked.
Beautifully said. And I would also say, in the immortal words of you, that Roman just looks at the world and the people in it, particularly his family, and he just says to himself and to them, concede. And, either you do and things are great, or you don't. And
pretty much.
Yeah.
God, I really wish we would have been streaming when that happened. That was amazing.
Dude, when that happened, and when you slipped off the stage thinking you were done, like, oh, we won, yeah, no, wait, what the fuck? Just amazing.
Those were two different games, too.
I know. Guys, this motherfucker has been on point lately. I've been having a great time. So then we get Usos versus Street Profits, but we got two. Street Profits, I think, are 2-0 for me right now, because I really enjoyed their promo last week. I enjoyed their promo again this week, too.
It was another really good one, yeah. And they work well off the Usos, too. It was a good promo by themselves, and it was a really good kind of back and forth with the Usos.
Yeah, fire stuff, guys. I mean, more or less, Street Profits are like, we run the division now, and Usos are looking to prove something. Like, oh, we still run this. And I love, too, because one thing I will mention, rather than just going line by line for the promos, you guys should check them out, though, in full, if you didn't see them for whatever reason. I love that for Jay's little bit of it, he does defend Roman to the Street Profits. That nice little touch that, like, he is still the right-hand man before anything else. I love that. And then we get to the match itself, Usos versus Street Profits. How'd you feel about this match, man?
It was a good match. It was a fun match. Montez Ford is kind of insane. I love some of the Usos stuff that they kind of got back to. I wasn't a big fan of some of the headlock spots. There was one in particular that lasted a really long time that I was very bored by. But for the most part, it was a good match.
Dude, I think my two favorite moments from this match, actually three. One was Ford's dive, and this might have been what you were alluding to when you said Ford is insane.
Yeah, exactly.
Over, what was it? Jimmy Uso onto Jay. It was a great
It was
visual.
over the corner. It was over the turnbuckles.
Yeah, it was over the corner, but like over Jimmy Uso, because I feel like he was straddled on the corner. Onto Jay.
Yep.
And then I want to say that this was also to Jimmy when Dawkins got his neck breaker, which is a really cool looking neck breaker. I don't know when the day will come that they'll split up the Street Profits, because I still feel like Ford is destined for a singles run, and maybe Dawkins as well. I think he's really done so much better on the main roster. He stands out a lot more, I think, on the main roster than he ever has on NXT.
I'll
so
never
he gets that.
Forget that one time that he tried explaining quantum physics.
Yeah, that was something that happened.
That was fucking weird, man. That whole thing with the Viking Raiders was just weird as shit.
But see, I think the genius of this particular dynamic, with the bloodline, was that I really didn't know how this match was going to go. To be perfectly honest, dude, there were points even during the mic battle that I thought Jay was just going to super kick Jimmy and just show his allegiance to Roman.
There were so many moments tonight that I thought Jay was going to beat the fuck out of Jimmy.
I was waiting for it. I was even yelling at my screen, like, attack him. Attack him.
Even at the very, very end of the show, when they did this fucking stare down with Dominic and Ray, I was like, oh my God, we're not going to get the title match because he's just going to beat the fuck out of Jimmy right now. There are 3 minutes left in the show. Let's do this.
So, just to kind of recap again the spots that I popped for. The dive, the kick out on the neck breaker, and that's why I mentioned the Bloodline's tension, because I didn't even know if it was guaranteed that the Usos were going to win this match. So when I believe it was Jimmy kicked out of Dawkins' neck breaker, I admit to being surprised, because I thought they were going to play up that he's been out for a year, the ring rust, all that stuff. And then, he eats that neck breaker, and then Jay's kind of looking at him. He's thinking about Roman. You pan to Roman backstage, kind of shaking his head. That didn't happen, obviously. Jimmy kicked out, which I thought, great for Jimmy, because that makes him look tough as hell. And then my third favorite spot, just to kind of tie into everything that we just got done saying, the For the Heavens miss because Jay pulled Jimmy out of the way. Dude, honestly, that eye contact between the two of them before Dawkins did that flying shoulder block, I thought Jay was going to pull Jimmy all the way out and like either start beating the crap out of him, super kick him or something. Because he was looking at him when his body was half in, half out after pulling him out of the way from Ford. And I thought he was just going to be thinking, no, it ain't his job to beat your ass. It's mine. And, you know, do the whole thing. Didn't happen. Instead, Dawkins kind of takes out Jay, and Jimmy gets the fucking pin with the super kick on a kneeling Ford. So, very interesting. Very interesting. The Usos get the win here. Also interesting for the Street Profits. I mean, you've got Bianca who's killing it, and her whole thing was like, oh, we wear gold in this house. And so I thought that Street Profits regaining the tag titles was imminent. And they just seem to be getting further and further away from the championships. I almost wonder if Alpha Academy may be leapfrogging them soon. But yeah, very interesting time for the Street Profits, and I wonder how Creative is going to respond to that or what's next in store for them. But really fun matchup here. And I'll tell you, Uso's back in the swing of things, even though I've been loving main event Jey Uso, and I've even expressed on here I'm not quite ready for that to end. They are the lifeblood to me of the tag division. Their absence.
Yeah, dude, I wanted to say something along those lines during this review. It is amazing how just complete and utter garbage SmackDown tag team division is, and all it takes is for the Usos to show up to make it feel like it's alive again.
Yeah, you are 100% correct on that, sir. 100%. Yeah. So Usos get the win, and we can see that they, kind of turn a profit there, no pun intended, because again, we already know that they are going to be getting a tag title shot because they would have a segment with Pierce later on in the show.
Yes.
We get a Dirty Dogs interview. Nobody cares. Nobody. You're old. Nobody cares. After that, Natalya and Tamina versus Riot Squad. Already talked about this. Usos and Pierce backstage. Again, already well established this. Bianca Belair comes out, so we know we're going to do Bianca Belair versus Carmella. Carmella gets one of those gorilla position promos before the matchup, and she more or less says, Bayley made some points. Bianca cheated to win at WrestleMania. I'm guessing they're just alluding to, her using her braid against Sasha.
Yeah, the one that Bayley hooked around her leg in the first place, yes.
Exactly. So, God, I wonder if they'll ever, I doubt it, but I do wonder if in WWE they'll ever put Bianca in like a hair versus hair match or whatever, just given how integral the braid is to her character, it seems. But Carmella just says she's going to go out there and she's going to prove herself. Really, the highlight of this match was Bayley on commentary. She was chumming it up with the Giga Chad.
Even it's just the fact that she pointed out on commentary that you can't blame Bayley for using Bianca's braid against her when Bianca brings the braid to the ring in the first place.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious. I'm like, oh my God, that is such perfect heel logic.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, Bianca more or less gets the win. It was a decent back and forth matchup, but yeah, Bianca wins with the KOD. Man, her booking on the main roster has been so strong, and I fucking love it.
I feel like she was so close to losing to Carmella a couple times, but she did a really good job. This was honestly, this is one of the best Carmella matches I think we've ever seen.
Yeah, dude, for sure.
And even just like the interactions between Carmella and Bayley, where Bayley was cheering her on, and Carmella was like, haha, look what I can do.
Yeah, exactly.
On the outside of the ring,
God, and then the best part was the post-match when Michael's more or less like, and that's a victory for Blanca. And Bayley's like, Blanca? It's Bianca Belair, you stupid idiot.
Oh, Bayley, you're the best.
I love this fucking woman so goddamn much. I'm telling y'all, it really sucks that Bayley is going to get robbed. I hope one day, and by robbed I mean because I'm pretty sure that a woman isn't going to main event WrestleMania in Dallas because they're going to go back to one night or whatever. Every 4-horsewoman has gotten to main event a Mania but Bayley, and I'm happy for them.
It's kind of like how every 4-horsewoman got called up without Bayley at one point.
Dude, oh my God, wow, they really be doing her dirty all the time like nothing's changed. Yeah, I don't know if she's ever going to get to main event of WrestleMania. I hope she does, because she's so fucking good. Like I told you guys, her and Starlight Kid, my two favorite women's wrestlers right now, far and away. And she's laughing at Bianca, and she's even laugh with me, and I think Pat even joins in a little, and I love it.
Dude, Pat McAfee is an absolute joy on commentary. He is one of the highlights of SmackDown, and it's a damn good show without him, but he makes it that much better.
That's dude. I'm so distressed that, like, any week now they're gonna let him go, or something's gonna come up, and then I'll be like, no, you had it. So I'm just trying to enjoy it while he's here.
McAfee might be the best commentator since Has to pair with Michael Cole.
Yes, dude, abso-fucking-lutely. So yeah, this was great. Bayley just continues to be on top of her game. Really wondering what the rest of this year is going to look like for her, because I really obviously don't think she's going to take the title off of Bianca. We're all awaiting the return of Sasha, which I'm really thinking is going to be a SummerSlam thing, which I fucking love because it treats Sasha like the big deal that she objectively is. And yeah, just a really interesting time for the women's division on SmackDown. After that, we get a Mysterio's interview. You're cringe. Nobody cares that you're father and son. It's weird. Mind your faces. And speaking of faces, we then get Seth Rollins' promo. And I've never wanted to report another man's face as much as I did Seth Rollins, because I felt so attacked. There were John talking points in this promo, and I don't feel comfortable. More or less, like, you know what I'm talking about.
I do. I 100% do. He literally walked us through the steps for why his hands are clean.
Yeah. He's like, oh, it's Cesaro's fault he was attacked. And I'm like, whoa. The fuck? Wow. This, honestly, is a greater parallel to me. Well, okay, if you took Seth Rollins as he is right now, and you merged it with Ricky Mundo, I am horrified that you would get me. That more than waiting for a therapist for a year has really fucked with me, y'all. Like, after that promo, I did some honest-to-God self-reflection, and I'm like, wait, am I the problem? And then, thank God, I was like, no, it's everyone else that's wrong. So I'm okay.
Oh,
I'm
so
okay.
you were even more like Seth in that moment, I see.
You shut your face hole right
he
now.
He literally told the people watching from home that we brainwashed Cesaro into thinking he was okay to disrespect him.
Why does WWE now decide between Roman and Seth, albeit in very different ways, we're going to have a new flavor of heel, gaslighty, toxic, abusive piece of shit? Why do they both do it so well? I'm uncomfortable. I am uncomfortable right now. But this, and not only that, but like, it's his birthday today. Happy birthday, Seth. And he's so enamored with himself. If we all loved ourselves, hell, if we all loved the people around us as much as Seth Rollins loves himself, how many problems would be solved overnight? Jesus Christ.
I mean, you mean created?
I mean, I don't know, man.
I'm
know.
Pretty sure I've never met a sociopath that didn't like themselves.
There are so many ways I want to respond to that, and I'm restraining myself. So, I knew this was going to be the segment that broke me, and then we still got the Roman Chase segment from later.
Oh, God.
Oh, God! So... Seth's clearly having a great time. That's totally happening. He's playing audio from Cesaro's hospital room, allegedly. And I love McAfee. Again, dude, like, McAfee should just be an honorary high spot every week that he continues to be good. So, again, just every week. Because Seth plays it. It's obviously faked. It's Cesaro in a lot of pain. Seth's laughing at it. Him and Bayley must get along famously. Jesus Christ. And he's like, see, Pat gets it. And then Pat kind of nervously laughs, and he's like, yeah, it was great. It might have been a HIPAA violation, but I love how he snuck that in there.
Oh, my God, now he's a whale.
And don't identify the animal with my vocal vibrations. How dare you?
Why would you tell me what to do?
Somebody has to. And,
remember that.
And then Seth, I'm sure you will. That's the scary part.
I didn't say I'm going to. I said you need to.
Oh, wow. Okay. Seth walks us through the rationale about how it's our fault. And then, because I very clearly don't have issues, I got very defensive when Seth looked into the camera right at me and said it was my fault. Because I actually said at my computer screen, and I quote, I didn't do nothing. So, I felt very attacked in a lot of ways by this segment. I didn't like it, and I want to report it, but I'm pretty sure the FCC would laugh at me in private if I did. So I'm just going to kind of stew in it for a little bit.
I know one thing the FCC won't do.
What's that?
Just let you be.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Damn, you go hard. So yeah, that's Seth. No Cesaro again tonight, which again, this is one context I perfectly understood. Selling an attack. I honestly would have been angry if he did show up. I would have been all over the place. Alistair's not here and Cesaro is here. What's going on? So yeah, glad that didn't happen. Otherwise, I would have short circuited.
A reason that Alex Foster just spelled McAfee's name McCafe?
Are you craving to go to a McDonald's breakfast? Take me with you.
Ew. Have you ever actually tried a McCafe? They're nasty as hell.
I've never tried a McCafe. I have had McDonald's breakfast though. They're pancakes.
Their hash browns are legendary.
Yes,
Here is a
dude.
genuine life hack for you people. If you ever go to a McDonald's in the morning and you already know you like their hash browns, you can actually order their hash browns extra crispy.
Oh, that's awesome.
You can order them extra crispy and they will fry them twice and they get fucking amazing.
Wow, I'm going to remember this, because I know I will have McDonald's breakfast again. This will happen. This will happen, and I will remember this.
Yes.
All right. We get Apollo Cruz versus Kevin Owens. Really nothing to say here, dude. It's another DQ. Like, this is the pickiest of nits. I didn't even bother mentioning it in our first segment. I felt like the messaging on this match was kind of confused, because I was convinced it was non-title, but then they had the announcer go out of their way and say, still Intercontinental Champion Apollo Cruz. And I'm like, but we knew that, though. So I actually got a bit confused about what this match was. I don't know if you were there or you were just like, no, it's non-title. Because again, I had that same confidence, but it seemed like WWE didn't. And yeah, I will say, Kevin really sold that Nigerian nail, man. Like I love.
Oh my god, he was selling it later on in the night too when he was asking for an IC title match. I almost have to wonder if he kind of milked it a little bit to try and get that match.
Maybe. I mean, it is Kevin Owens.
Like the first, 2 minutes maybe, he's just like, ow, it's so hard to breathe. Oh God, this is horrible. And then like 10 minutes later, he's just like, I feel better, but maybe I should just keep this up and try and get a sympathy kill shot with Aziz banned from ringside. I want the match. And it worked. Played like a fucking fiddle.
Oh, well, who else got played like a fucking fiddle, or at least the continued manipulation? Jey Uso with Roman Reigns here.
Oh my god.
And again!
Actually threw the line back in his face, John.
He did! I circle back to the original point before you told me to keep it together. The gaslighting is just perfection! I don't know what's happening.
And neither does Jey Uso because of the gaslighting.
Yes!
Score one for the dickheads.
I love it.
Okay, we didn't need the macaw.
Okay, listen, sir. We've been over this. Yeah, this was great. I fucking love this. Roman, again, is just really like, he does not want Jey Uso distracted. He does not want Jey Uso's loyalties or energies divided. He needs all of it. He needs to monopolize it if he's going to be a successful Universal Champion. And, he more or less, like, I love, too, how he tries and makes it seem like, listen, Jey, you were doing great before Jimmy showed up. I love the line that he had, which actually further makes beautiful the card structure of this show. When you were with me, you were closing shows, you were main eventing SmackDown. The minute your brother gets back, you're demoted to the opening match. I love that, dude. I thought that was such a great fucking touch.
I'm just trying to keep you main event Jey Uso.
Yes, he really is. He really is.
I don't want it to go back to when people see you, they ask, which one are you?
Oh, I love that too. And then Jey really thinking about it. Again,
dude,
just
that was the
gap.
line.
Yeah.
Do you not remember the promo that Jay cut on Roman when they first started feuding?
Well, yeah. And then he's like, when I'm Universal Champion.
That's Roman Reigns. That's the head of the table, the tribal chief, the world champ, the face of the WWE. And when they see me, you know what they say? Which one are you? It's like, oh my God, he brought it back. I fucking love the storytelling. God damn it.
It really is on point in all areas for everything that WWE is doing wrong lately. And believe me, it's a mountain. This is the one thing they are consistently getting right. And you're right. It was just an impeccable.
You got to imagine Roman has significant creative input here for sure.
Him and Heyman together, I think, are really probably conducting a lot of this shit, dude. And you know what? Like, oftentimes I'm afraid when, like, top guys get creative control because, we never want another Hogan. But at the same time, though, when you put your time in, when you've been that loyal with the company, you should at least get your opinion consulted. They're like, hey, how do you feel about this for your character, this and that? And Roman, I think, is getting more than opinion. He's getting straight up input. He's getting straight up, like, I get to drive. Yeah. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Like,
I don't know if he's writing SmackDown or if this storyline really is literally all just the boys writing their own shit and just having the creative liberty to do it. But whoever's responsible for this storyline.
Bro, I gotta tell you too, and to be perfectly candid, I don't give a fuck how hyperbolic I sound, because clearly I'm in a good mood tonight and I'm having fun. I used to have friends tell me that, like, Asuka's NXT run alone was Hall of Fame worthy for her. I feel like Roman's heel run alone is Hall of Fame worthy for him. Yes. I have been loving this. I have been loving every week of this shit.
We've ever had this compelling of a heel championship run in the WWE. Like, just in general. I feel like the WWE, prior to, like, 2011, maybe, they were a very babyface-driven company. It was all about Hogan, then it was all about Brett, then it was all about Austin, then it was all about The Rock, and then we got into, like, more of, like, heel-dominated era, like Triple H and JBL, but no one fucking liked their reigns. Their reigns were literally considered reigns of terror, and now Roman gets a quote-unquote reign of terror, and it's the best content they're putting out.
Yeah. It is. Roman just gets it on a whole other level.
I've never seen an instance where the quote-unquote face of the company is a heel and having an incredible heel run as champion, still being a face of the company and making his heel stats, like, work. I don't know how to explain it. It just works.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty amazing, actually. It really,
it's really, I would argue, and I feel like we've heard this word enough over the course of the last 14 months, but I genuinely do think this is an unprecedented run for wrestling, at least for WWE.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like specifically to WWE, I'll use maybe even a more abused phrase here. I really do feel like this is a once-in-a-lifetime kind of run, because you're right. Like, not only is it a heel, it's a heel, like, at the very top. Because even when Austin was heel, he didn't have the energy that Roman's got right now. I've watched enough heel Austin content to know that he wasn't
accepted as a heel either.
Exactly. Like, people still wanted the rattlesnake.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's been waiting for this from Roman.
This is the best work of Roman's career.
Yeah. The funny thing is, too, and the most beautiful part of it is, dude, is that, like, a lot of people wanted this Roman, and yet from those same people, he's still getting that heat. Because I know I wanted this Roman, and yet I was rooting so hard for Kevin Owens, that whole feud, for him to beat Roman Reigns, especially. Like, it's so good.
And
so good.
/ when Jay finally does decide to stand up to Roman, we're going to be firmly behind him, too.
Yeah. Like, dude, this really is a case, if the IWC is kind of the house, because we're always, like, so finicky, we're always, like, picking certain people, and, like, oh, now we're moving on to this thing. Like, Roman beat the house, because the IWC was like, oh, we just want Roman heel, and now he's, like, working everybody, and he's getting under their skin, and it's like, oh, can somebody just pop a cap in his ass, and it's like, yeah, this Roman stands tall over everybody, and I fucking love it. It's so good. So, yeah, and then I love Jay's response, that, like, I never thought about that, Oos. And then Roman's just like, well, maybe you should. Like, yes, plant that dynamite in there. Oh, God. And then we get Rick Boogs and Nakamura. More guitar playing from Boogs. Always. Oh, my God. It's an eargasm every time. Then we get Nakamura versus Gable. Good match. It just makes me wish that Gable was a bit higher up on the card, even with this tag team with Otis, which I do enjoy. Just because, man, everything he does in there is so fucking clean. Dude, those belly-to-belly, like, trifecta suplexes, the hip work on that shit, I can never get over it every time he does them, dude. And then I love the sequence where, like, it seemed like he was going to get the Chaos Theory on Nakamura, but Nakamura had just a breathtaking victory roll counter. I could do this shit all day when it just comes to that pristine wrestling and just chain action and stuff like that. I love Nakamura, though. He just reacts immediately after the kick out by Gable of the victory roll right into the Kinshasa, right to the face, gets the 3 count. And then Corbin, being Corbin, takes the crown. He's already halfway up the ramp. And he's like, oh, you know, I got it back. This is my crown. This is mine. And, like, you could tell the way the camera was zoomed in, like, somebody was going to attack him from behind. So I'm like, okay, is it going to be, like, Boogs or somebody else going to, like, have an interest in the crown or whatever? And no, it was Boogs. And Nakamura took it back. And Corbin just had such a defeated face and, like, but it's mine, though. No, it isn't. Get over it. You've had, like, what is it now? Like a year that he's had? Over a year?
Year and a half.
Yeah. Fuck you.
It was. I believe it was like September, October-ish last year that his 1 year reign was over.
Yeah.
So over a year and a half, actually, a year and like 7 or 8 months even.
I highly doubt that this whole controversy of the crown is going to like ignite a new King of the Ring tournament. I just think it is going to be a one-on-one matchup.
Cool, though. I would dig that.
It would be. I would dig it too, dude. And then Nakamura could really like fight for it, but I really do think it's just going to come down to a one-on-one match between Nakamura and Corbin. Winner gets the crown. And oddly enough, I worry that Corbin might even win that match because I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
I know they protect Corbin a lot, but I feel like they protect Corbin so that they can have him put over talent like this situation.
But, so we'll see where that storyline goes. Still enjoying it, though, for the most part.
I feel like Corbin is like a really well-protected jobber to the stars, which is like the perfect role for him.
It really is. You're not even wrong. And honestly, dude, we can kind of wrap it up here because the next thing was Owens and Pierce, which we talked about, and then the rest was just Mysterio's Dirty Dogs, and fuck it.
I am excited for Owens Apollo next week with Aziz, banned from ringside. That's pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, we'll have to see how Apollo retains, and this is kind of what I wanted for his title.
And dude, like we were talking about, after Dominic retained the titles pretty much by himself, with the only help being a distraction, and he and Ray were in the ring together and the Usos came out, I was like, after the talk that Jay had with Roman earlier, he is absolutely turning on Jimmy tonight and like right here in this moment. Because it was like, literally, it was like 9:57, 9:58. There was like just enough time left in the show that they would have had time for a quick beatdown and then hit the signature and go out. But no, it was just ended. They just talked shit and it was over.
Yeah. So you have to imagine that the tag title matchup is going to main event SmackDown next week.
I'm assuming. Hope so. Yeah. Well, and what's great about that is that it bucks up against what Roman said. So really, I don't know. From a storyline perspective, what do you think the odds are that the tag titles open the show next week?
I'd give it like 40%. Because I still think it's going to close, and here's my argument for closing. Not only because it is like a championship match, because for those intents and purposes, why shouldn't Apollo and Kevin Owens main event next week? Which would also be an interesting choice. But I think they're going to want the tag titles to main event, one, because the Usos are tethered to Roman, and that's the storyline right now. And two, also from a storyline perspective, that gives Roman the whole show to like needle Jay and manipulate Jay and kind of mold the situation from the sidelines. And, we'll see a bit.
I think it's going to open the show to prove Roman right. Because if it main events the show, that basically says like, oh, what Roman said about main event Jey Uso not being around anymore and opening the show as soon as Jimmy shows up, that becomes invalid. But if they open the show in a tag title match, that's fucking perfect storyline wise. I think they're going to actually do it. I think that's going to open the show, and then Apollo Owens will close the show.
Very interesting. What do you guys think? I'd like to know in the chat, and anybody, of course, watching. Maybe that'll be something that you can talk to us about. But yeah, we shall see. I do like your thinking, though, on that, man. Very interesting. With that said, let's get to our next segment, high spots and low shots. I want to make my low shot real simple, maybe even kind of lazy. My low shot's Corbin. He was excessively proud from stealing his Burger King crown back, only to lose it. You keep getting embarrassed. No wonder you talk about your wealth. You've got nothing else going for you. So who's your low shot?
Old dogs.
Yeah, that is low-hanging fruit if there ever was one, brother. You got it when it was still the seed planted in the dirt. You didn't bend over like, oh, there it is. Yeah.
I mean, we did kind of discuss that it is recently buried.
We did the odd thing at the same time. Yeah, high spot is a bit more difficult for me. You know what? Because this might be the only time I get to say it based on how it happens next week. I'm going to say my high spot is the Usos. They come back together as a team after a year, and they win.
Immediate success.
Yeah, immediate success. So again, this might be the only time I get to do this. And of course, honorary high spot, Pat McAfee. I was almost going to call him Chad McAfee because I forgot his first name for a second, and I still wouldn't have been wrong.
Cafe.
Yeah. So yeah, Usos. But what about you, bud? Who's your high spot?
High spot is going to go to Bianca because she gave Carmella one of the best matches of her career and won despite Bayley being at ringside and got to gloat after winning.
All right. Good shit. Good shit. All right, guys. With that said, this has been Friday Night Smackdown. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my core and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to like the video as you file out. The more likes you leave, the more likely we are to be the top search result for Friday Night Smackdown reviews on YouTube. And when you're the best at what you do, the top is the only place that you belong. So please leave that like. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon for notifications so you never again miss any of that TWitWoW goodness. As I said, comment down below when this video is done processing. Talk to us. Do you think these SmackDown tag titles are going to main event or open SmackDown next week? Give your thoughts on that. What do you think is going to be the next development with Aleister Black and Big E, given that neither of them were on the show this week? And here's another interesting question for you. Do you think we're going to get any closer to finding a challenger for Roman at Hell in a Cell? Because I don't think SmackDown's talked about Hell in a Cell that much. Like, they've acknowledged it in the promotional material and stuff, but I don't think any matches have been made for the pay-per-view. You think that ball's going to really start getting rolling next week? So let us know, because actually Raw, I think, is ahead of SmackDown in that regard, because we know they're doing Drew versus Kofi next Monday to determine who's going to face Lashley at the pay-per-view. So let us know, guys, down below. Check out everything we're involved in the description box. I always like to give particular attention to the Patreon. You can check out our price breakdowns and everything else there. Two things I want to highlight. One, if you donate $1, you get additional Q&A questions. We do Q&A the last Thursday of every month. We just had Q&A yesterday. It was only 21 questions. Holy shit. So you can check that out on the channel. It's actually relatively short by Q&A standards. But for next month, it is June 24th. So please get your Q&A questions in YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Discord. And if you donate $1, you get 2 additional Q&A questions for a total of 5, because as it stands, non-Patreon owners only get 3 Q&A questions. So you can get 5 if you donate $1 to the TWitWoW Patreon. I think that's a great deal. Of course, if I were you, I would just donate the whole $3, because you get the Q&A questions, but you also get access to the TWitWoW Discord. We talk about all sorts of stuff. Music, movies, just all things pop culture, politics. There's a free talk where we can talk about whatever. God knows, for weird eggs like myself, that's a great channel to be a part of. And we do Among Us Mondays, because we're cool like that. So, yeah, consider joining us on the Discord. And now, because we're getting close to the end of the month, this was our last recording for the week. Saturday and Sunday, we have got nothing. And really, that's it for the month, because we have nothing for Monday, either the 31st. So to begin June, because we do have the start of the month on this schedule, at 4 p.m., Tuesday, June 1st, we are going to be doing the Stardom May 29th Cinderella Tournament Show live reactions. And then at 10 p.m., it's going to be our NXT review, where we are going to be having the NXT Tag Team Championships at stake, MSK versus LDF, and I believe also the Triple Threat number 1 contenders match, Johnny Gargano versus Kyle O'Reilly versus Pete Dunne. Winner gets to take on Karrion Kross at NXT TakeOver in your house. Yeah. So yeah, guys, join us for those 2 recordings on June 1st, Tuesday. And again, we're off Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So enjoy the 3-day weekend, digest all that great wrestling, maybe watch more in the meantime. And until you tune in with us again, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and peace out.